So I wanted to talk about this topic for the sake of all the Pillars fans out there. Of course, I'm a huge Pillars fan, you know this. It's basically my favorite setting for the most part. And in case you hadn't heard, there has been news concerning Avowed more broadly, and specifically with respect to the director of Avowed, Carrie Patel, who has decided to leave Obsidian completely in favor of joining a new studio over at Netflix. That's a thing called Oxenfree. Now, Netflix has positioned itself as a publisher. To date, I'm aware of no major game that they've actually published, so that's really up in the air. And I have a little bit of sympathy for Carrie Patel because she got a lot of flack, and I think to varying degrees, and to a large degree maybe even unnecessarily. As many of you might know, Avowed was a game that was in development hell for years. And here's the thing. In my review, I said what I thought about Avowed. Avowed is a game, but if you like Pillars of Eternity and the lore of Eora, you might in fact like Avowed. But basically, Carrie Patel, for better or worse, was handed a train wreck and was forced to deal with the consequences of that. On top of that, you had that very unfortunate incident with Matt Hansen, the art director, whose infelicitous words ended up having Avowed dragged through the mud, I think unnecessarily. Avowed is not an amazing game. It's a game. If you like Pillars, you might like the game. But what Matt Hansen did with his uncareful words was turn Avowed into a political battlefield that it didn't need to be. And I have no doubt that Matt Hansen hurt the overall sales of Avowed, and the game just got a lot of negative press. And to the contrary of what a lot of people claim, not all publicity is good publicity. And I think in the case of Avowed, this was very negative publicity overall. But that is not what this video is about. Carrie Patel has decided to leave, and who knows why. A lot of people have speculated. The usual suspects are claiming she was fired. I seriously doubt that. And she's moved on to Netflix, and specifically this Oxenfree studio. Who knows what that's going to turn out to be, or what the game even is. But this obviously is going to have consequences for Avowed itself, and I think more broadly the future of Pillars of Eternity. Now, Avowed has published a roadmap, basically, which you can see on the screen, of what they're attempting to do in the coming months. Now, this suggests that they're trying to make the game more complete than it was upon release, which would be a good thing, because I think the game was missing a lot of essential elements when it was released. It's just a fact. And the roadmap, as you can see, looks okay. It's nothing special. But it also begs the question as to whether or not there'll be DLC for Avowed. Maybe, maybe not. But the roadmap they're presenting to us implies to me that they're probably attempting to wrap up the game, bring out all the features that they wanted to have from the get-go, and then you have a more complete game, and people can enjoy it or they cannot enjoy it, and whatever, just let it go. This does not imply to me that there'll be DLC. It's possible still, but it seems unlikely. Who knows? We just don't know. But more broadly, the question to be asked here is, what are the consequences for Pillars of Eternity as a franchise, as a universe, Eora? And I think the answer to that question is not a positive one. The fact that Carrie Patel left, who, whatever you might think of her, was an aficionado of Pillars of Eternity. She was interested in the universe, and she's not there anymore. And there are other people who are interested in Pillars of Eternity, but they're not directors, and they have much lower ranked roles within the hierarchy. So this begs the question of who could possibly take over the reins of something Pillars related. And there really is only one man that comes to mind, and that is Josh Sawyer. The problem with Josh Sawyer is, and it's not really a problem per se, is that he's gone on to say multiple times that he will make a sequel to Pillars of Eternity 2 when Microsoft gives him something northwards of $100 million to play around with and to make an RPG. Now that's basically a meme because Josh Sawyer is never going to get $100+ million from Microsoft to make a game related to Pillars of Eternity. So I'd say overall, the departure of Carrie Patel, the fact that Avowed was not super popular, and the fact that Pillars of Eternity is not a super popular universe in of itself, it's isometric, more on that in a bit, unfortunately suggests to us that we're unlikely to see anything ever again in terms of Pillars of Eternity. It's still possible, yes, but it seems unlikely. Now here's the thing. I think there's a general problem with games that started off as isometric CRPGs that then come under the auspices of a powerful and all-seeing company such as Microsoft. If you notice and take a look at all the CRPGs in recent years that have done well as isometric CRPGs, they've largely been games that were published and owned by the people who made them. Think, of course, of Larian and Baldur's Gate 3, which isn't really a proper isometric CRPG, but I'll count it for the sake of argument here, as well as the games made by Owlcat. They're not games that have been published under the auspices of an almighty, all-seeing director power such as Microsoft. And therefore, I have to conclude that the future of Pillars of Eternity is very grim to non-existent indeed. Possible something might be released at some point in time. The likelihood that it's going to be an isometric CRPG is very slim. And the fact that Avowed, who knows how well it sold, did not appear to be very popular, and received as much ridicule and bad and negative press as it did, largely thanks to Matt Hansen, because otherwise it would have flown under the radar, or would have just been a game that was a game. Well, none of this tells me anything positive about the future of Pillars of Eternity, which is a real shame. Because, in similar fashion to Pillars of Eternity, we have this issue with Tyranny. Paradox owns the rights to Tyranny. And so, even if Microsoft had any interest in publishing a game in the Tyranny setting, they could never do it, because Microsoft does not own the rights. Neither does Obsidian, Paradox does. And Paradox has less than zero interest in dealing with CRPGs. Most recently, they said that they're going to stick with RTS, i.e. real-time strategy, and they might delegate RPGs and or CRPGs to other companies and or developers. So all in all, it's not looking good for Avowed, and it's looking even less good, i.e. worse, for Pillars of Eternity, Aora, as a franchise, which is a real bloody shame. Again, it's possible we'll see more content from Avowed. It's possible down the line we might see more content from Pillars of Eternity, but Josh Sawyer does not appear to be very interested in such a project. And it begs the question as to who would be, or who would even be capable of manning a project in the Pillars of Eternity universe and actually making a good game out of it. So we're basically stuck in a rather poor situation, to be perfectly honest. But for now, that's it for me. And if you like my content and you like my takes, you can leave a like, comment, share, or subscribe. It's much appreciated as it really helps out the channel. And I'll check you out next time. Take care.